What's up, everybody? How are things with you? Hope everything's fine wherever you are. This is Spanish Grandmaster Pepe Cuenca, and it is an enormous pleasure to be here with all of you to talk about one series that has been a revolution in the chess world and also outside the chess world. Yes, I'm talking about The Queen's Gambit, a new Netflix production, and I have to tell you that I have just finished this series 2 days ago, and I found it extremely interesting. I really enjoyed from the first episode to the last one. I think the photography is very nice. The main actress does a fantastic job, and in my opinion, it's the best chess production that I have seen in the last years. So what am I doing here today? Well, we're not talking about cinema or the cinema industry. I don't have any future about as a film critic or cinema critic, but of course we are talking about chess. And there were so many people asking us if we can analyze the games that appear in the show. So that's why we're gonna cover 4 or 5 games that appears in the show, and we're starting from the first episode. So we're not gonna make any spoilers, so don't worry about this. So we're just focusing on chess, but anyway, I recommend you to watch the series and then come back here. So we just talk about the chess and then about the people who play those games. So the first game we covered happened in the first episode, and Beth Harmon, the main character, was facing Mr. Gans, who is a guy from the chess club who wants to see how she plays. So that's why he visits her, and then they play a game. So let's just focus on chess, and Beth Harmon decided to go for e4. Then Mr. Gans replies with c6, the Caro-Kann defense, one of the most solid approaches nowadays. So d4 occupying the center, d5 from Mr. Gans. So here there are different ways to play. Yes, I forgot to tell you, so this game actually is based in a real game, but we're gonna talk about the real players after showing you this game. So you can guess who were the players after seeing this game. Alright, so knight c3 here, as I told you, different options. You can go for the advanced variation with e5, also knight d2, also e takes d5, and then f3. For those who are very aggressive players, I recommend you to go for this line. You want to continue with knight c3, bishop e3, queen d2, and then long castle, and then go crazy attacking your opponent's king. But okay, knight c3 main line, d takes e4 from Mr. Gans, and now knight takes e4. And here Mr. Gans decides to go for knight f6. The main move is bishop f5, and then main move is knight g3. Also knight c5 is very interesting. I recommend you to take a look. But knight g3 attacking this bishop is the main line, bishop g6. Here, even though you can go knight h3 and knight f4, for example, the main line is h4, trying to trap this bishop, so that's why black plays h6, and then normally white continues with h5, fixing the structure, bishop h7, and then bishop d3, in order to trade this fantastic bishop on h7, bishop d3, queen takes e3, knight f6, and knight f3. And here in many cases we reach positions where both kings are castled in opposite flanks. So that's why you get so many interesting games and positions. But this is heavy theory, yeah? I mean, in order to understand everything that's going on in this position, we will need hours, probably days or weeks or months. So just to give you an idea about the main line. But Mr. Gans decides to go for knight f6, which is also a very interesting move. Even the best chess players in the world have tried this idea. Now white goes for queen d3. Main line is knight f6, and then here you are forcing black to ruin his pawn structure. Actually, both moves are interesting. You can take with the g-pawn, and then you get really unbalanced positions. Black has ruined his pawn structure. Also, the king is going to be weak on the king side, but in return, actually, you get more control in the center, and also the g-file is opened for this rook. More normal is probably e takes f6, and then again you got double pawns on the f-file, but now you just develop this bishop in one tempo, and black is able to castle very soon, so that's why this position is very interesting. You can also try queen e2, not in this position because the pawn falls, but then maybe in a bullet game just to see your opponent goes for knight b d7, and then boom, checkmate on d6. Yeah, forget about that, yeah? Let's not be so lazy. So Beth Harmon decided to go for queen d3, just covering this knight on e4, and here there are different interesting moves. For example, you can play g6, knight takes e4, all of them are playable, and also the move that Mr. Gans plays, which is e5. attacking the center and then asking white what he wants to do. She wants to do, because if now white takes on e5, then Mr. Gant's idea is to go for queen a5 check, followed by queen takes e5 and then pinning this knight on e4. So that's why this is a really interesting and important moment for white in this position. What would you play with the white pieces? I would like you to stop this video and then think about this position. Of course, there are many playable moves, sorry, for example, knight f3, but then I think black just takes on d4, and then you cannot take on d4 because actually the knight on e4 is just hanging, and after something like knight f6, queen d4, we reach some sort of equal position, right? After bishop e7 or even queen takes d4, everything is very symmetrical, and I think black is fine in this position. So that's why Beth Harmon said, you know what, Mr. Gantz, I'm just gonna take this pawn on e5. And now black actually went for queen a5, the most natural move. I mean, if you trade queens on d3, this is just good for white, right? Because after knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, white is a healthy pawn up, and you know, black has not enough compensation for the sacrifice pawn. So that's why Mr. Gantz goes for queen a5, sorry, bishop d2, just blocking, and now queen takes e5. And now asking white what she wants to do with this knight on e4, because there is a nasty pin on the e file, and this is probably one of the most important moments of this game. I recommend you to pause the video for a while, so this way you get a rest from my face, right? I know it can be a little bit tiring, at least this is what my mom says all the time, and just trying to think about the position. So I'm sure that many of you have thought about this move, f3, which is a humble move, but probably effective, just protecting the knight on e4. But I think black is just fine after knight takes e4. If you take with the queen after the queen trade, I think black is even better because the structure is much better for black. Black has 2 islands and white has 3 islands. So there's no reason to think that white is better in this position. So if you take with the pawn, yeah, it is interesting, but now black takes on b2, and I think there's not enough compensation for the sacrifice pawn. So that's why f3 is not the best move in the position. Then what to play? This knight is just falling, right? So the best move, and this is what Beth Harmon did, is just long castle, and then again, probably many of you at home would be saying, come on, stupid Spanish guy, what a bad move, long castle, you know, you just blunder your knight on e4. Well, it's not that simple, because now if black takes with the queen on e4, it's clear that after rook e1, the queen is pinned, and actually white is winning. The best move in this position was just bishop e7, and I think after knight f6, queen f6, knight f3, white is a little bit better. We are leading in development, and then we have some annoying moves like bishop g5 next, and I think white is actually a little bit better. But Mr. Gantz, that was hungry that day, says, you know what, I'm just gonna take this knight on e4. And then again, I recommend you to pause the video and then trying to think about the best move right now. Probably many of you have thought about the move rook e1, saying, come on Pepe, there is a nasty pin on the e file, the king and the queen are on the e file, so I'm just gonna take on e4 and something bad is gonna happen for black in this position. Well, not that easy, because after bishop f5, black develops another piece, protects e4, and it's true that after f3, white is gaining a piece, but you're actually closing the e file. For example, after knight d7, you are forced to take with the pawn on e4, and now bishop e6, and even though this position is interesting, it's not winning for white at all, and after queen c5, black has managed to survive in this position, right? So rook e1, not the best move. Again, I have been insisting in forcing moves for 6 years already in Chess24, mainly in the Spanish section. So now I'm gonna insist a little bit in the English channel too. Forcing moves, captures, checks, and threats. This way you will solve a lot of puzzles. Even though at the first glance you will think like, okay, this check is completely ridiculous, then you will realize that it's actually the winning move. This is the case in this position. What are the checks right now? Well, queen d7, which is stupid because black can just take with the knight or the bishop, and now queen d8, which is not stupid and actually it's just winning. Black is forced to take on d8, and now we have so many checks in this position, right? Just bishop e3, bishop f4, just, well, taking the queen back, but then black plays queen d5 and wins, and you have what we call double checks, right? With the moves bishop a5 double check with the rook and bishop g5, double check with the rook and bishop. So let's first analyze bishop a5. Now black can just play king e8, and after rook d8, which is another forcing move, king escapes via e7. But it's not the same if we play bishop g5 double check, right? Because now, I mean, there's no piece able to protect from both checks, right? So not the bishop, not the knight. We will need something like a rhino to protect both squares. But rhino is not a chess piece, at least nowadays, right? So that's why black's king is forced to move. And then there are only two squares available. The first one is rook e8, and actually after rook d8 is actually checkmate. And the second one is just king c7, and this is the way the game continued. And now Beth Harmon just played bishop d8, and this is a checkmate. This is the first that she did in the series. Now the d file is completely covered, also this b6 square. So fantastic game from Beth Harmon, and actually we're gonna tell you that this game corresponds to Reti versus Tartakower from 1910. So we all know Reti, we all know Tartakower. Reti, we owe him the Reti opening, right? One of my favorite openings with knight f3. And you know, he was also a great composer. You can check actually some artistic endgames from Reti. You're gonna enjoy them a lot. So I hope you guys enjoyed this game, and as I told you, we will be covering the next games that appear in the show. So it's been a pleasure as usual. I hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did analyzing this game for you. So just have a nice day, take care, and stay healthy. Bye bye guys.